Hey guys, welcome over. Welcome to Baby Name Mondays. My name's SJ. I am a baby name expert, consultant, BBC correspondent on all things baby names. So if you love a name, if we're looking for a name, this is going to be a really fun way of figuring out what kind of namer you are. Are you kind of safe, trendy? Are you kind of a little bit brave? Or are you actually super daring? And it's a nice one to do as a couple as well, to figure out where your sort of safety zone lies when it comes to names, because that's quite a big thing between couples and choosing a name. So what I've done, I'm doing a boy version this week, and then next Monday I will do the girl version. So do hit subscribe if you're not already subscribed, so you don't miss that girl version. I've taken 6 of the most popular trendy names at the moment, so names like Bodhi, names like Theodore, ones that are kind of rising, not the most safe boring names like John and Steve. And then I've done a version of that name which is a bit more daring, so a bit of a change to it, it's a bit elevated maybe, and it's a bit less popular down the ranks a little bit. And then I've done a daring version which might be a riff off of the theme, or something that's a bit more out there you maybe not have thought of. So that's what I've done. It's been so much fun. I really want you to join in. Have a go in the comment section below. Just pick your own boy names and have a go at doing it, and I will like all of my favourite ones and we can chat below. And as I said, girl version next week. First up, let's play with Noah. It's such a gorgeous name. It's an Old Testament name. It's a real Hebrew classic, so on a lot of people's baby name lists. But that means it has risen through the ranks in the UK and is now at number 3 in terms of the most popular names. It's got so much going for it. It's short and sweet. We love that O sound. For all of our baby names, Oliver and Olivia being the #1 names for so long. It's just such a gorgeous sound for a name, and it means rest or peace, so it's got a beautiful meaning as well, with Oliver meaning peaceful as well. So it's really interesting how our boy names, we quite like these strong sounds with the soft meanings. I've done a load of names on that list on that, but I love Noah. But how could you change it up if you think Noah is a little bit too popular or a little bit too safe for you? I've actually cheated here, I've done 4 already, broken my rules. First up, if you were going to go really literal, you could just change it to Koa. So this is a really rare but rising name, really popular. It's Hawaiian, and those types of names are really booming at the moment because they have that sort of free-spirited nature vibe that is the #1 trend in baby names. It means brave one. It went up a massive 116 places last year alone, Koa. And I think that's because of the popularity of Noah and people trying to bounce on something a little bit more different. But it's still only at number 471. So if you love Noah purely for the sound of it, then you could bounce onto Koa and be a little bit braver. Another one that I've put in here because I was like, I don't want to just change a letter, be a bit rhymey, is the name Jonah. So what do you think of Jonah? I've always loved it. So I know that we associate these with really popular childhood biblical stories in a way. So obviously there's Noah's Ark, and then it was Jonah and the whale. But it's not done Noah any bad favours, but Jonah also means dove, so it's got that same lovely meaning. And I actually love the nickname, the meaning dove, because it symbolises peace, but it's beautiful to have that nature animal meaning as well. And it's only at number 147. So if you're really thinking, do I want to pick the 3rd most popular name in the UK? No, but maybe think about Jonah, and it's still got that same open ending, of course, with the AH and the N in it as well. But my wild card for this, my daring name, there was only 8 babies called this last year. Yeah, last year. It's a rare Hebrew name. It's the name Tobin. So I really like this name. It is one that gives you that sort of second glance, Tobin. Oh right, then you sort of get your head around it. And what reason I think it would appeal to somebody who loves Noah is it's got the same strong O and the N. It's got that completeness that Noah has as well with the Tobin. But it's really fun name. It's kind of playful, it's kind of spirited. It just means God is good. But as I said, only 8 baby boys were called Tobin last year. There's some big sports stars called Tobin, so it's kind of out there. But what do you think of it? Which of those 4 would you go with? I'm going to try and stick to my own rules and do 3 next time. So the next name I chose was the name Milo, just because as a name consultant, I see it on so many of your name lists, Milo. It's really back with a bang. It was kind of around a few years ago, and I see it so much more. It actually went up 18 places last year alone to put it at number 80. So it's in a lot of your sweet spots, which is kind of the 50 to 100 ranking. There's loads of multiple sources when you look back at the name Milo for what it means. But what's really lovely, it comes up a lot as meaning dearest or beloved, which is of course a gorgeous meaning for your little baby boy. But there's also some who take it back to, often it comes up as linking to Miles, which means soldier, which again is quite a cute little name, meaning for a little boy. Milo, so it's really out there, but if you think it is too popular or just a little bit kind of like lovely but not special enough or daring enough, you could try Otto. So I love the name Otto. I actually have a nephew named Otto, and it was on our name list, had my third baby being a boy, Otto. I love the way that they say it in Sweden. It's more like Otto. It's quite sweet, but I love the O at the beginning and the end. It means wealth, like a lot of those at Ottilie is the feminine version, and that's really booming at the moment. So Otto is only at number 211, and it's on less name lists, it's on less people's radar. It might be a bit brave for people, but much more out there than, say, a Milo. I really like it, and I think it's kind of, if you like Oliver and Ollie, it's another good option as well to go with Otto. But my brave choice is a name I'm crushing on at the moment, and it's the name Elon. So automatically I know you'll be thinking Elon Musk, I know, because he's the poster person for this name, famous person with this name, but it's actually a Hebrew name. It was a Jewish surname and it means oak tree. So it's actually a nature name, and I just think it looks so lovely, and it's so much like a Milo, but an Elon. I just think it's really gorgeous, looks so nice written down. If you look over on Baby Name Envy Instagram, it was one of the first boy names I ever posted with a little grid picture and Elon, and it just looks gorgeous when you see it against like a little baby boy. Really has something special about it. There were only 16 babies called Elon last year. So a massive change from the number 3 name in the UK, but very similar vibe. So were you a safe, brave or daring on that one? Next up is Theodore. Can't believe the popularity of Theodore. It is now at number 14 here in the UK. I hear it on name lists from all around the world. It's a gorgeous name because it's long, and we do quite like long names for boys, like a Sebastian, Theodore. They're strong. Benjamin, they're Christopher. They've always been quite traditional, those 3-syllable names. But what's lush with Theodore is you have Theo. I actually got a nephew Theo as well. I've got good names in my family. Theo, so it's really lovely. And you also can be Teddy. Quite a lot of people take the Edward and then take the Teddy, so a Theo or a Teddy, so that kind of baby, teen, older guy name that you can play around with. But it is really popular. It's at number 14, and I think it's going to keep going up actually. So if you're kind of thinking, what can I do with a Theodore? There's a couple of options. Actually, both of these, I mean, first one I'm going to say is actually only 7 babies were called this last year, and it's a Greek name, and it's Thaddeus. So you might think that is too daring, that I've gone right up to the daring, but I'm not too sure, because I just really love the name, and I feel like it really fits into so many name trends at the moment with the sort of God name and the Greek name and the longness of it, Thaddeus. It's really unusual, but you can still stick with the nickname Teddy if you wanted to for a Thaddeus, or Thad rather than Theo. So a lot of people might really like that because it's quite a strong Thad. It means heart or courageous heart, which I just think is really lovely, particularly if you're wanting to honour a baby that's been in difficult times. And a lot of people message me and the baby's been in NICU or something, and then this courageous heart is a really lovely name, meaning Thaddeus. It's just a bit more unusual and out there, but I do know it might be too much of a leap. So my next one, which I've put as the daring, is maybe a bit more of the brave, but is more of a change. So Theodore and Thaddeus are quite similar. The daring version I've gone with is Donovan. So if you like Theodore, you might like Donovan because it's kind of similar. It's got the 3 syllables, it's got the kind of strong O's again as well, but it's much more unranked. There were actually only 13 babies called Donovan last year. Isn't that unusual? And it's got that surname as first name, been going for it. The strong D and the O sounds. What I quite liked about it is I was thinking about the nicknames with Theo. I think if I had a little Donovan, I'd maybe go with Nova. That is such a trendy, cool nickname for a boy, Donovan, who goes by Nova. Really cool. You could also go with Van, which I like, which would kind of be a teenage nickname. Donovan probably be Van. What do you think? Could you think of any other nicknames for Donovan? Because I know Theo is such a reason to pick Theodore, but I love Donovan. It is super cool and trendy. Next up is the name Bodhi. Bodhi is on every single person's name list at the moment. It's so high up there. It means enlightenment. It's got that spiritual side to it, and it's got that really on-trend meditation, yoga, lifestyle vibe to Bodhi, that Buddhist thing that we really got into, particularly after the pandemic. Actually went up 40 places in 1 year alone to number 159 here in the UK, and as I say, it's on so many people's name lists. It's starting to get a pick up for girls. Do put it on your girl name list, because I'm obsessed with Bodhi for a girl with Bo. But an alternative, you could go with Brooks. So I love adding the S on the end of word names. It makes them sound really different, really trendy all of a sudden. Like, is it Hilary Duff's got a little kid called Banks? And I just think Brooks is so nice. It's got that same calming, peaceful vibe as Bodhi, and that sort of meditative state, that sort of Brooks meaning stream, puts you in that sort of world of outdoors, forest bathing, that type of thing. I think it would be a lovely sibling name, Bodhi and Brooks, or an alternative if Bodhi's kind of been taken. I have done a Sanskrit name list if you're interested in it, but it's very calm, but only 19 babies were called Brooks. I just think it's got a really chilled out vibe to it. My daring one is Shiloh. So really, really different, but you've got Bodhi, Shiloh. Again, it's that O, isn't it? It's all over the place, and it's got that same meaning, so it means tranquil. So a really gorgeous name. What's interesting about the name Shiloh is it's so gender neutral. So there were exactly 40 boys and 40 girls called Shiloh last year. So absolutely perfect on this gender neutral trend that we love. I think it is so nice. I love Shy as a nickname, I love Low as a nickname. I love it for both boy and girl equally. I just think it's a really gorgeous name, and it's got the same feeling as a Bodhi, but it's not so much as a Me Too name, where it feels a bit like you're copying what's trendy. It's a bit of its own thing. How about Finn? It's got two more. Finn I chose because it is actually my little boy's name. He's called Finn. And I love it, of course, and I love the shortness of it, and it's just one name that's really enduring, and it's got a lot of its own spirit to it, I think, the name Finn, and it's on a lot of name lists where it's kind of in, again, that sweet spot, because it's at 73 now in the charts. It was actually, I looked, at 116 when I chose it, which was like me and my husband's kind of thing, that we had to be at, for me, outside the top 100, but it's gone up really a lot over the last few years. But it means a little blonde soldier, fair one, or fair soldier, which I like that for our family because we're all very blonde, and I think it's a really unusual name to kind of riff off. So see what you think of what I've done with it. So for me, I've taken kind of spirit of it. So with a Finn, for a brave version, you could go with Kip. So K-I-P-P, very similar looking with that sort of one syllable. It's a name I really like. It is unranked, so I know it's a bit maybe out there for my brave version, but I just always liked this name so much. And I think it's got that simplicity that Finn has, and that playful spirit that Finn has, and playful names are really, really trending at the moment. It's actually a nature name as well for somebody who lives on a hill. It means kind of pointed hills. It would have been for somebody who lived on the pointed hill way back when. But what do you think of Kip? For me, it's got that sort of Sawyer scout feel to it, that sort of outdoorsy thing that Finn has a little bit. So I really do like Kip, but I know it is maybe a difficult one, maybe Kit I should have said, but I just love Kip, and I wanted to put it on your radar. For my daring one, because it's quite different from Finn, but it's a name that I think fits this theme, it's the name Ziggy. So I know it's a bit of a jump from Finn to a Ziggy, but I like the sort of the double letter again, and I just think that Ziggy is really, really daring as a choice. But it is out there, it's in a lot of shows, there's a lot of character names. It's at number 448 in the chart, so really low down. But it's a variation of a German named Siegfried, like that singer who's out at the moment. Of course, we think of Ziggy Stardust and David Bowie. I feel like my Finn could really pull off being called Ziggy, so I really think it works. So if you're looking at Finn and thinking, is it too out there? Try and play around a bit with Ziggy. And last up for boys, I've done the name Arthur, because this has come from absolutely nowhere. Like, it was so out of style about 15 years ago, and again has zoomed up the charts to number 3 in the UK. And it's kind of a tricky one. If you like Arthur, like, what else could you go with if you feel it's too popular nowadays? It's actually from the Celtic word meaning bear, which is really lovely as well. Makes me really like it. It's actually my dad's middle name. I never went with it, and I love it because I should have done, because I like Artie as a nickname as well. But at the time, I was not into Arthur. So there's a couple of options. So you could go with Alfred. So quite similar in terms of the generation of Arthur and Alfred. It's only at 91 though, Alfred, rather than right up in the top 10. Then you can go with the nickname Fred or Alfie. So Alfie to me is such a popular nickname as first name, so it could be one you really, really like, but I really think that Fred is just as the shortest of Fred. I've got a Freddie, but I do love Fred as well by itself. I think there's a couple of good reasons people will like it. It's got Batman vibes, doesn't it? Can't get away with that. But I also think of Alfred Hitchcock, the director, which I think makes it really, really art house and kind of cool to be an Alfred rather than Arthur. And it's very traditional. You know, there was King Alfred's right through history, so it stands up against like a Henry, a George, and all of those names as well, and an Arthur, in terms of having that sort of royal status as well. Obviously King Arthur, a bit legendary, but you know what I mean. But Alfred is a harder one to sometimes go to, but I think that once you sort of really play with it, it sits in a really special place in my heart. But the one I absolutely love as an alternative to Arthur is the name Wilbur. It's so cute. It's got the cuteness of Arthur. I think Arthur's just such a sweet little name. You imagine little baby Arthur, and I think baby Wilbur gives me the same sort of feels. I really love it, and it means wild boar, whereas Arthur meaning bear and Wilbur meaning wild boar. They could even be really cute little siblings, couldn't they, Wilbur? But Wilbur is so much further out of the charts. It's only number 473. Really medieval vibes of little Wilbur, but I just think it is adorable, and I love Will as a short nickname for when they get to kind of teenagers. I always think that Will sounds really like a handsome name for whatever age you are, and then being a Wilbur if you want to be a bit kind of edgier and cooler as well and you're a bit older. I love it, as you can tell, so do come back next week. Hit subscribe now, please, please. That really supports me with my channel getting seen by more people. And come back for the girl's name. Don't forget, there is a podcast if you want to listen to our baby name consultancy. There is a podcast which is coming back soon. It is me and my sister, and there's tons of episodes. I think we've got about 25 there that you can go and listen to. And if you want to submit a dilemma, it is sjstrum@yahoo.com, and I'll leave that in the comment section below. You can also shop my baby change range with 8th Bay. They are all organic, English, hand-drawn designs of changing mats for you and your little babes nursery. There's 3 gorgeous designs inspired by names that we love here on the channel. So go check that out below as well. Thank you guys. I'll see you next week.